meeting each other and the sponsor and getting briefed on the project. And in team 2, they did their training. So I was quite concerned whether they'd, you know, how can you sort of, well, I guess we'll see if we can all bond together now, but it's not like we have to work together for the next 15, 17 weeks and produce something that, you know, will be a challenge and, yeah, require a lot of effort from the whole team. Yeah. So, anyway, I think they went well. We'll see next year what state are we in then, and I think with lots of the things that we've learnt from COVID, you know, won't go back to doing things exactly the same way anyway. I guess just working out which bits worked well and, yeah, and, you know, take some of those on board.
Mm.
All right, I'm still getting on to Dr. Kyl's producers, chasing them up for me. But sorry if I've missed this already, but are you happy to just to do a brief, I don't know if you've already done a brief round robin of everyone and what their research area is?
Not yet.
Yeah, Richard, do you want to kick us off on what you do at ANSTO? I'm sure I provided very poor descriptions of everyone's exciting research to each other, so it'd be great to hear from each of you in your words.
Yeah, I'm Richard Garrett from ANSTO. Most of my career has been in synchrotron radiation. So before we built the Australian synchrotron in Melbourne, I ran a program that sent our users overseas to Japan and the US and Taiwan to synchrotrons there. And in the last several years, I've got a job which is called Strategic Projects Advisor. So I look after a lot of our interactions with some big international projects like the ITER fusion project in France. And we're involved with the dark matter project. We're building an underground laboratory, 1 kilometre underground in the Stawell gold mine. And another example is we're trying to bring particle therapy to Australia, which is using protons or carbon ions to treat cancer.
Wow. Amazing. What's your favourite part about your job?
Probably interacting with all these different communities in all these quite disparate projects, and identifying opportunities for ANSTO to be involved in Australia more broadly.
Have you been with ANSTO for a while?
I have. I worked in the US at a synchrotron until 1991 when Australia kicked off its synchrotron program, and I came back then. So that's nearly 30 years.
If we do a bit of an intro like this in the panel, could you, like in the actual panel, could you explain to us what a synchrotron is?
Yes. Okay. So a synchrotron is a large electron accelerator. It's about the size of a football field. It's our synchrotrons in Melbourne, and electrons, as they are bent around this more or less ring-shaped accelerator, generate extremely bright X-rays. 1 million to 1 billion times brighter than the brightest X-ray tube you'll find in a laboratory. So they've revolutionized all X-ray techniques. For example, the reason we know how the atoms are arranged in almost any material you care to name is from X-ray diffraction, where we diffract X-rays from a crystal and then work backwards from the diffraction pattern to figure out how the atoms are arranged.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at the moment, actually, they're doing some research into COVID by trying to determine the atomic structure of some of the proteins on the coating of the virus, which would be important to look at either a drug or a vaccine interaction.
Wow. Great. Thank you. Deborah, could I throw over to you?
Yeah. Can I also ask, so I just saw the links, I didn't take the link before. Can I can send it to you, but yeah, if you can link to my homepage rather than the
Yep.
Pure page. Yeah, okay.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, I'm an artificial intelligence researcher. My main area is in intelligent virtual agents. So these are usually virtual humans. I've been applying them initially more in education and training, but the last probably at least 5 years, most of that, my work has been in health and well-being. So you can talk to these avatars. So they're not really chat bots because, well, they have a face and a body. Whereas a chat bot, you often just type in text. One of the key successes with this, there's a lot of different projects going on, is with the Children's Hospital at Westmead. And patients who are on the waiting list are able to use a system called e-advice, where they can answer questions about their medical condition. And it also, you're still under the care of your GP, so it's not like a self-help tool. And then when you are given your treatments, so there's up to 6 different treatments you might be given. In this particular, that's in incontinence, and we're just doing this also for sleep disorders. Then you can speak to the avatar about that. And it really works through trying to understand, well, we talk about beliefs and goals, you know, what's someone trying to achieve. So for example, it says, well, you know, why are you here chatting to me? And an option is because my parents want me to, or my parents made me, or whatever. And so then the avatar will say, well, parents can be annoying, but you know, they want what's best for you. So it's got, I guess, light behaviour therapy behind it. So helping people, well, it's about behaviour change essentially, and adherence. And yeah, so we've got some really great results with that, with, you know, improving health outcomes so that people then didn't need to see the specialist at all. And also requiring less appointments, you know, if they still go on to do the appointments. So there's lots of different applications for this sort of thing. But that's where I've got a particular passion for it. So I do stuff in virtual reality. This uses games technology. So, you know, in education and training, you know, building virtual worlds. But I think in the health space, there's a lot of, you know, particularly with sort of like a mentor, a coach, to really help, well, all age groups, but, you know, that teenage group, you know, have a lot of, they don't want to talk to lots of other people about it. So this is sort of like talking to yourself, but getting the right, you know, getting
back
things to think about. Yeah.
Is it a stringent ethics process to go through to be able to test with actual? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So while it's not a physical thing, you know, it's all software. You know, it's still often, you know, viewed as a medical device. So yeah, we don't have hardware to get approved, but certainly, you know, what we're saying and who we include in these studies, you know, is quite important too. So relating to that, the avatar doesn't use natural language, which means you don't speak to it and it just generates the dialogue and speak back to you. It does use natural language in that it's language we're familiar with, it's conversational language, but it's been carefully designed. And so like we don't want a young person to disclose to us that they're, you know, they just can't cope anymore and feeling depressed or whatever. That's not what that tool, you know, if it was in the mental health space, which, you know, sometimes they are, then that's different. We do have some triggers that we might send to medical people, but in general, we're not, we have it, we see it as empowering to actually be able to say, you know, are you taking your medication, and to say, oh no, it tastes disgusting. No, I think, you know, medication is a waste of time. These are options that they can reflect on to go, well, why aren't I taking it? Maybe it's, oh no, I keep forgetting. And so in that way, it helps to reflect, but also really a lot of problems with chatbots currently, a lot of articles about that. They can be dangerous, you know, they can give the wrong advice, you know, particularly when it comes to treatments, but even in terms of responses. Example I heard recently was a chatbot that had been designed based on the notion that people are often depressed because they there's a condition where you exaggerate it. Okay, so you know, things like, oh, I'm always wrong. This always happens to me. Nothing ever good happens. That sort of thing. So then an example where someone says, the chatbot says, how are you going? How are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling pretty bad. A close friend of mine just died. And the chatbot says, oh, you know, are you overreacting to this?
Yeah.
On the bright side, you know, it's sort of like, what?
Yeah. Not the response.
We don't want to go
hear.
down that path. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Wow. Do you think that health is the biggest, or even the best use of that application? Like, do you think, or is there a space, do you think, in other fields, or should we kind of focus, is it more useful in that health field?
Look, you know, we see them more commonly in other places, don't we? You know, particularly the chatbot, where you can, FAQ, you can get some advice from it. I mean, I'm steering clear pretty much from that sort of. I mean, I am, the work that we do, you know, very much involves empathic dialogue. It is in a particular, it is trying to connect with people, I guess, at a more emotional level. Yeah, so, well, marketing tries to do the same thing as well. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, it can be used in a lot of different fields. But as we're dealing with people's well-being, we have to be really careful. You know, it's one thing to say, you know, you can buy this product to help you, you know, get a loan on a car or whatever. I mean, that can be bad enough, particularly if, you know, you make a decision financially. So I think, so one of the things that, you know, I'm quite passionate about also is ethics. So ethics of these things. So a few years back, I saw the movie Her. I guess the age that would participate in this aren't going to see that. It's probably M-rated. But he falls in love with his operating system. And after I watched that, I was on a cruise, so I just watched it. It was filling in time. And then when I was walking offshore with some other people who I didn't know, they just said, wasn't that disgusting? That's the worst thing you know, the most disgusting thing I've seen in my life. And then as I walk, you know, we part ways, I'm thinking, my research is disgusting. Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of concern currently about AI and bias and it making decisions for us and loss of autonomy, loss of jobs, all of these sorts of things. And there is, you know, there are definitely issues there. What is not on even people's radar are these, you know, uses of technology that are replacing relationships, you know, which, you know, we as a society really need to decide, you know, what is the role? And so I think we have to be very careful. I think these virtual agents, virtual humans definitely have, you know, for sufferers of PTSD, they were more willing to disclose to a virtual agent than to another human. You know, and they're available all the time. Like there's definite benefits of them, but we need to be careful, you know, not just let technology happen, but decide where they should be appropriately used. and also put, you know, human on the loop in building them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just got Carl. I think he's just joining us.
Okay.
Just give me 2. Jacob, are you able to make Carl a panelist, please?
He's on it. We've just seen the message. We're doing it right now. That's our mistake. He had his hand up and everything. Sorry, Dr. Carl. He's on his line. Sorry to interrupt, Deborah.
Okay, so he's now co-host. So he should be able to share his video or start his video.
Right.
You're in.
Ah, hello.
Love your background.
Well,
I'm just
okay, switch off
gonna
phone.
on the phone
Yeah,
and
thank
I'll
you.
chat you on Zoom.
Yeah. Hi, look, awfully sorry. I've been trying to get in, and apparently it was because I was not a panelist, I couldn't get in. Sorry. That we had that confusion, so I've missed the entire first bit. Sorry.
That was our fault, Dr. Carl. Sorry, we should have seen that.
We've just been doing introductions, Carl. We're just still talking about everyone's research.
Hurrah! Now, I'll just get this out of the way. So on the day, I'll have a proper professional camera rather than the webcam. I'll have 4 lights on me, and I'll be using a proper microphone, a professional microphone, rather than just shouting at the screen. How many of the panelists have a proper professional microphone? Anybody?
Got a headset mic, which
Oh yeah, that's
seems
normally
to be
pretty good. Can
okay.
you count to 10 for me, Richard?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It's a bit distance. Can you move the microphone closer to your mouth?
How's that?
Yeah, it's a little
1,
bit better.
2, 3,
And
4,
what about
5.
you? Hi, Deborah. Hello.
Hello,
Do you have a proper microphone, or do you just shout at the computer?
I'm shouting at my computer.
If you can get a proper professional microphone, that'd be better, because it sounds very boxy. What about you, Claude?
Yeah, the same thing. Unless it goes through the thing here, I'm not sure.
Oh, do you know how to set it up so you can choose which setting you're putting it in through?
Yeah, I should be able to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Also, your background, all we
Yeah.
can see is your dark face against a very bright background, so you're not
Yeah.
well lit. Will that be better on the day?
Yeah, it will be better. I'll be somewhere else, so don't worry
Okay,
about
so
that.
you'll have a bunch of lights aimed at your face?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Look, okay, just want,
Yeah.
it's just I want to make sure that it'll be better. Okay, I'll keep quiet now and listen.
Yes, this is Carl, Dr. Carl, who's our host. And we've got Deborah from Macquarie Uni, Richard from ANSTO, and Claude from UTS. So Deborah just giving us a rundown about her work with, see if I can get this correctly explained, avatars in the health field, and using software on avatars to talk to teenagers. Is that your primary audience, Deborah?
Yeah. I mean, I also do virtual reality. So that technology uses games technology, which is also what's used in creating virtual reality, training system simulations, virtual worlds. So in education, I've also used them as well. So, relevant to this, we had it's called a MOSA virtual world, a virtual world for science inquiry. So you could go and observe animals living in different predator-prey relationships, and talk to the biologists and the climatologists, and, try to work out why a certain species were dying out. But yeah, I think, so quite separate to that is the work with virtual agents. So in the virtual worlds for education, as you also have virtual humans in there who can help you and give you information. But in the health space, it's a bit more of a one-on-one, with this virtual human to talk through, it's about behaviour change and adherence to treatments primarily.
Can you give me a specific example? So, for example, would a virtual avatar introduce, meet the patient the first time around and run them through what's your weight, what's your age, do you have any health considerations, any mental health issues? Is that what they would do? So, can you give me a specific
Well, you
example?
could do. So what I was explaining to the others was a system at the Children's Hospital Westmead for patients and families on the waiting list. And in the incontinence clinic, the waiting list is up to 2 years long because it's not a life-threatening condition, but nevertheless has a lot of stigma associated with it and affects.
Can you give me an example?
So in the area of incontinence.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so for people that were on the waiting list, a website was created where triaging questions, or, such as you were suggesting, to find out your medical condition. And then it gave you treatment, so up to 6 different treatments. Before we added the avatar to it, adherence was only around 50%. So that is sort of the standard across the board, whether delivered by a human or technology, that if someone tells you to do something, it's flip a coin whether they'll do it or not. And that's because, I think basically because people don't like to be told what to do, but also when someone says to you, oh, you should wear a raincoat tomorrow, that's you sort of guess, well, do they know it's going to rain, and how do they know if I like raincoats or not? Or maybe I don't have one. Whereas if you've got an avatar that says, I heard it's going to rain, and I know umbrellas keep breaking on you, why don't you wear that nice yellow raincoat you bought the other day? So that's a very different thing, which is much more likely to the person to follow that advice, because it's based on the person, the thing, understanding them. And that's what we're trying to do. We ask about the reasons why people are doing things or not doing things, what they, believe about those things. Do they believe that that medication is useful for them, or that it tastes disgusting, or that it will be helpful? And what are they seeking to achieve? And once we added the avatar, adherence went up to 88%, and we had about 1/3 of patients not needing to see the specialist at all. And those that did, so the remainder going on to see the specialist, required less appointments. So you can see that there's a health benefit because people are getting treatment sooner. It's reducing the waiting list. So other people, even if they're not using that, they're getting through to the specialist sooner. And of course, there's a very clear economic benefit as well, because there's less specialist appointments needed. So,
can I ask, who wrote the AI for the avatar? Was it a psychologist? Was it the specialist? Was it a
the medical team? Yeah. So we have a lot of experience. I mean, I'm not a medical person myself, but I've been working with. I work in a lot of multidisciplinary teams, And so that's absolutely essential. So any AI, my PhD was in knowledge acquisition and knowledge reuse. And the first thing is you must have the experts involved.
Sorry, say that again, please.
You must have experts involved,
Okay.
main experts. If you can't just make it up yourself, as well-meaning, clever as you might think you are. So actually what's currently happening because of COVID, we have the opportunity to record clinics that are currently happening we'll record the patient sessions. I mean, of course, it's all through ethics approval. And we're going to be analysing what is actually said by the human. So we've got the patient and their family. We've got often a physiotherapist, a psychologist, the specialist, so a range of people. And we're going to really be analysing how they're speaking and also how our avatars. And there's a lot of, there's always a lot of psychology. So AI builds on understanding humans or whatever it is that they're simulating. And so we draw a lot on the psychology literature. And I have a number of students, particularly looking at empathic dialogue and also empowerment and how to, and behaviour change. So I'm very adverse to manipulation and persuasion. So you probably heard of persuasive technologies, but I'm quite opposed to those. And even you might have heard of nudge theory. So that's quite popular in education and also in health, where you can get someone to make a small step, by just giving them a small nudge. But that's sort of okay, but I actually want to know, I want the human to know why they're taking that step and where it's taking them, because otherwise we can manipulate people to heading in directions that they never consciously made a decision to go in.
And would you be able to send me some information on that? Shall I give you my email address?
Yeah. I'm trying to think whether...
Or Victoria, would you be able to coordinate that? If I could have some summary information on Deborah and Claude and Richard, would that be possible?
Yep. If you're happy for me to draw from the web links, and Deborah, if you send me through your homepage, I can put something together for Kyle. Yeah. And I think we'll have an extra hour as well on Monday. If we all join in at 10 o'clock, we'll have an hour again together before we do 11 o'clock live.
Oh, that'll be lovely. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Give us some more time to chat and we can talk through Claude's research and talk through those discussion points as well. Right.
Okay. I'm just getting my audio up properly. Test speaker, microphone, external headphones, test microphone. How's that sounding? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. So with these microphones, they sound significantly better if you have them close to your face, but I'll be using an external microphone. Wonderful.
Carl, I'll just go over how the Q&A will work at the end.
Yes.
So what we'll do is at the beginning, and I'll write this all down for you. If you could just say, if anyone has any questions along the way, please put it in the Q&A. And then myself, my colleague from the Botanic Gardens of Bonnie we'll be looking after all of that. So you don't need to worry about it. And then we'll put together those questions at the end. And kind of once we've done half an hour, if you say, oh, Tori, do we have any questions for us? And then I'll say them out to you guys.
Okay. By the way, I've been looking down because I've been taking notes on what you were saying, Deborah. So I was typing it in as we were going along. So it wasn't I was ignoring you. I was actually taking notes on what you were saying.
Yeah, all good.
No problem. Yeah.
You can hear me?
Notes is good.
Yeah. I'm just sending an email to someone to see if they can get me a microphone. Yeah.
Yep. There's an old saying, it's not a miracle, it's a microphone. You've actually got to have the microphone near your mouth and you've got to talk into it. And I've seen people go with this like a microphone and think it's like a camera. Believe it, okay? Now, look, I don't want to sort of come in late and then change things, but what should we do next, Victoria? Because I've got to go to where in about...
Yep. No,
Yeah,
that's so good. We'll have some
Sorry?
our next session panelists jumping in a few minutes anyway, so it'll become a very crowded Zoom room. Next, so I'll send through some more information on Richard, Claude, and Deborah. If there's anything particular you do want me to highlight to Carl, please just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just pull from the links that I've got so far.
Yep.
And then we'll send through the link for Monday, so we can meet at 10 o'clock, have an hour together, ensure all the tech's working, and just we can kind of just keep chatting
Okay.
about the
Can-
discussion points.
Can I ask, would it be okay to ring you guys on the weekend? So I'm in a video shoot on Friday, which is tomorrow, and I'm doing radio all day today. So would it be okay to ring you on Monday each to have just an individual 15-minute explanation so I can bring out the best of what you do and present that to the audience? Would that be well, we'll think about it if you want to do that. It's just so I can then present you in a better light and make you look more wonderful to the audience.
It's
Yeah.
fine by me, yeah, or over the weekend, whatever works for you, Carl.
Okay, so Victoria, would you be able to put my phone number
Yep.
and my email address? Unfortunately, having troubles. I've just spent 2 months getting onto the NBN with Optus, and finally I've managed to get on, but I'm not getting what I paid for, and they've joined up the wrong phone number. And who would have thought that such a thing could happen?
Deborah, Richard, and Claude, is it all right? Have I got your mobile numbers? Are you happy for me to pass them on to Carl in one email?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine.
Okay,
No
so I'll try ring you on the Saturday, or if that's okay, or let me know when is a good time, and I'll just ring you and say, is this a good time? You say, no, tomorrow would be better, whatever. And so I'll try and get from you the best. I'm sorry I was late getting in, but I've got to, in 5 minutes, I've got to go and start setting up for Triple J, unfortunately. Sorry.
All good. Does anyone else have anything pressing? If not, I'll send around all the emails, all the contact details, and we'll reconvene again on Monday at 10 o'clock for another hour of
Yep,
chatting.
and a summary of what, if you, Victoria, you send me a summary, so that way when I start talking to you, Dr. Deborah Richards, I won't say, so Deborah, you work in what field? I'll have already read up all that stuff, and so I won't be wasting your time, so I'll have a good background to be able to bring forth your best qualities.
Can do.
Yep.
All right.
No
Wonderful.
problem.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll be in touch over the next few
Fantastic.
days with links and contact details as well.
Okay, I've got to run to the other studio now. Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
bye-bye.
bye everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Tori, would you mind staying in, please?
Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, I feel we should explain our YouTube live thing for you.
Oh, yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Um,
stop it. Yeah.
Thank you.